All right, so I'm doing this thing, got my microphone hooked up. Yeah, so I was kind of challenged to just do like a podcast style, just record yourself for an hour, just talking about whatever you want to talk about, just ranting kind of thing. So, yeah, it's actually challenging for me because it's not something that I want to do, but I'm just going to do it and see how it goes. And while I'm driving, too, to just kind of focus on driving, but also focus on just talking about stuff. I'm driving around right now in Ichinomiya, which is actually the first place where I lived in Japan when I came here in 2012. It's a pretty special place to me. It's just in the parking lot at Family Mart, right across from the ocean. So I'm going to drive over there to the beach, check it out. So yeah, it's been quite the year and a half, since just deciding to come back to Japan. It's kind of like at the end of, splitting up in my marriage, just having a partner who just decided one day that they didn't want to be married anymore, and they gave me their reasons, and respect those reasons whether you like it or not. It's a decision that they made, and just go separate ways, and just having to try to like rebuild your life after 5 years together, 3.5 years married. And so yeah, so since that, it was a few months after that I decided to move back to Japan, because to focus really much like on teaching and developing my own curriculum and worksheets and stuff for students, just to teach pronunciation is something that I'm really good at, something that I enjoy doing. I love creating curriculum and teaching kids. So yeah, that's just like where I've been at. And I was just reading my journal today. There's a journal entry from January of last year in 2024 about the steps that I just had to take in getting here. And it was just pretty crazy how like pretty much everything that I had written down, goals and the things that I wanted to do, it's just been a little bit over a year, and I've accomplished maybe 80% of those. And so I just wrote myself like a congratulations journal entry. Um, it's not too many times that, you just congratulate yourself on things that you do, especially for me. Um, that's just been one of the things that I've been kind of working through, since probably 2018, like actively working through, is just kind of like having a, kind of a positive inner dialogue. I'm very self-critical and perfectionist and want everything to be perfect, but unfortunately life isn't perfect, and so you just have to roll with the punches, and slowly learning that, at 38 years old, going on 39. But I find that when you're trying to fight life, it's kind of like fighting ocean waves. So it's going to be very difficult, and you're going to get really tired, and you're not really going to go anywhere. So it's best to just, get on your surfboard and just ride the waves and see where life takes you. But using that analogy, you still have to see what direction you want to go in. And so this is definitely the direction that I wanted to go in, and really happy that it's just kind of worked out. So a little distracted right now because this traffic light is not turning, and it's been like this for quite some time. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. So yeah, that's where I've been at, just doing a lot of work, a lot of inner work. And here recently just been doing a lot of research on social skills, and just how to like read the room and have conversations with strangers, and doing those types of challenges and stuff. And it's actually been really beneficial just because I've never really done that before. I don't have the worst social skills, but I don't have the best either. So that's an area in which I want to grow. It's funny, you put me in front of a classroom full of kids, and I'm great at doing that. Throw me around adults, I don't even know what to do. So I think the easiest thing to do is just like what you do and enjoy the things that you enjoy and talk about those, and people just want you to be you. So like I said, just learning that stuff. Excuse me. So yeah, just been getting reacquainted with Japan, kind of getting my life set up here right now. Got a house that I've been living in with a friend who's also going through, or has actually gone through, a divorce. Is this person stuck? I'm not sure. I don't know if I should be driving over here. It's pretty sandy. Shit. I gotta go kind of fast because I don't want to get stuck in the sand. Yeah, I guess there was a storm or something here. Some guy got stuck in the sand. I actually want to get out of here now because I don't want to get stuck in the sand. Anyways, there's none on the road right here, so I think I'm good. Which is kind of funny because that was like a WRX STI. Those are all-wheel drive, so I don't know why he got stuck in the sand. Anyways, enough about saying sand already. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, getting my life situated here in Japan. Yeah, so I got a job that I really enjoy. You know, teaching kindergarten students, 3, 4, 5, and 6-year-olds. That's kind of the age range. And just being an English teacher, teaching them pronunciation and phonograms, and it's actually going really well. They're learning really fast. They're really smart kids. And yeah, they're so energetic, and I just love teaching kids. They're just so full of life, and they don't really have an ego. So it's kind of nice to, you don't have to deal with that. They're just kind of free and wild, and they just do whatever they want. And these kids are smart too, man. I mean, they're Japanese kids, right? And they're native Japanese speakers, and they're already picking up English phonograms on how to pronounce English letters, and they know the ABCs and basic sentences. And like I said, they're 3, 4, 5, and 6-year-olds. You can have a conversation with them in English, and they know what you're saying. It's pretty amazing. So yeah, I've been working there for about a month and a half, since the end of January. That's when I came to Japan again. So yeah, I've been doing that. Let's see, my job, the place where I'm living in Chiba City, in a house. My friend owns a house. Me and my other friend are renting it from him right now. It's about 50,000 Japanese yen per month. So it's a little less than $500 for, what is it, 3, 4 bedroom house in the city, which is unheard of, especially by American standards. And then, oh yeah, this car that I'm driving, I bought this when I came out to visit during the summertime in 24. That was a whole process in getting my visa. I thought my work visa would get here a lot sooner, so that's why I just came out in the summertime before I even had it, because I just had my workers or traveler's visa. It's only good for 90 days and 3 months. But, so yeah, I came out in the summertime, didn't get my visa, so I was running out of money, so I went back and stayed with my parents in Louisiana, stayed with them for, what was that, September September, October, November, December, January, so about 4 or 5 months, and just kind of saved the money that I had saved. So staying with my parents, I didn't have to spend any money, so I was just able to save what I had already had saved. And so that was actually really beneficial. And it just made it easier for me to come back here and to kind of start my life. And yeah, divorce really sucks. I don't wish it on anybody, of just having to restart your life. And in some ways it's like death. It really is a death of a relationship. And like with dying, thinking of it kind of like in like the life cycle of like a butterfly, caterpillar, cocoon, butterfly. It's like you think you're dying, but you're being recreated in a way. And so you can either be like overcome by all of this. It's actually really difficult, emotionally taxing. Oh my God. Yeah, when that happened on a Monday. I thought I'd only have to take off Tuesday for work just to kind of deal with it emotionally, but actually ended up taking off the whole rest of that week. Super grateful and thankful to my boss and my coworkers who are extremely understanding of the whole situation and supportive. And yeah, it was really bizarre because I had worked there for 4 years at that time, maybe 4.5 years, 5 years. And it really just kind of changed my perspective on work relationships, where it's like, especially being a teacher at a school and you're working there for 5 years and putting in regularly like at least 8, maybe 10 to 12 hour days, that becomes your home away from home. That becomes your family. And I never really looked at it like that. Like you say it's your family, you know what I mean? But when like the hard times hit and like those people are there for you, like it's legit family. Like your coworkers are your family. And I don't think everybody has that, because my job was actually really good. We had a really good atmosphere and very supportive environment. So I was really grateful to like have that there. I'm really thankful to, my friends and my family that were just all love. I can't imagine going through that by myself, without family, without friends. And so it just reminded me of the importance of relationships, and kind of woke me up to like not taking those for granted. Like I hate to admit it, but I really had taken relationships for granted. So you don't mean to, you're just living life and whatever, things are good. It's not until things are hard and you go through some shit that people are there for you, and like, man, like I'm so glad you're here for me. Like these people legitimately care about me. And just realizing like, man, this was here all along and I never recognized it, and just kind of like waking up out of a stupor. And even like my friends in Japan who are supportive of me wanting to move back here and start my life back here again. So when I lived back here in 2012, lived here for 5 years, so 2012 to 2017, lived here for about 5 years. And at the end of the 5 years, I was turning 30, and so I just kind of saw that as like, I kept being on and off the fence about wanting to move back to the States or staying in Japan longer. And I really wanted to just kind of, looking back in retrospect, right, it's always 2020. But for me, I really wanted the best of both worlds. I wanted to be in America, close to my family, but I also wanted my life in Japan as far as having like my dream job. Like, I loved my job. I loved working in Japan, and I loved learning Japanese. So I was like, oh, I'll just move back to the States and be close to my family and learn Japanese and be a teacher. And then I did that, and it's just not the same. It's just not. I love my family, and I love living in America, but I also love teaching, and feel like, I don't know, right now my life purpose is becoming the best teacher that I can and impacting lives by teaching people how to read and write and to be able to learn things for themselves. Because if you can empower young children to read at such a young age, they don't need you anymore. Once they can learn to read, like, what do they need you for? They can read books. Like, so I want to like teach myself out of a job, like in the best way possible. Especially these kids here, like, they're so smart. And yeah, I just love teaching kids, especially that age group, because they come in knowing nothing. And then you teach them some phonograms, then from phonograms they start putting together, you know, like 2-letter words, 3-letter words. Pretty soon they're learning multi-letter phonograms and reading larger words, and then they can construct their own sentences. And there's no greater feeling, because like teaching is something that, being a teacher and teaching these things, you're also learning yourself how to be more effective as a teacher. And so you're teaching, but you're also learning. But when you're teaching, the students are learning as well. And so everybody's benefiting. Everybody's benefiting. And it's the most amazing feeling. I love it. I really love it. And so I was so fortunate when I moved back to the States. It was actually really hard for me initially, because American culture is just so different from Japanese culture. Americans are just a lot more boisterous. People are a lot more independent, a lot more just kind of, I don't know how to describe it. When I was in Japan, I was living in the countryside, and I was the only white guy in the countryside. So whenever you go somewhere, like, there's people always looking at you. So when I went back to the States, it's like I'm like everybody else. So nobody paid any attention to me. So it's kind of weird. It's kind of like, yeah, it kind of hurt my ego a little bit, to be honest, because I'm like, I'm special. Like, why doesn't everybody recognize me? But it's kind of silly to think about it like that, but that's just how I felt at that time. And so, yeah, it was really hard for me to like find a teaching job there, because my skill set is teaching English to people that don't know English. And so I was extremely fortunate I put my resume up on some online resume place. I don't even remember what it was. I think it was like Indeed. I think it was Indeed. And the school contacted me, and they're like, oh, I think you're a good fit for this position. And it was Basis Educational Group. It was a really good company. I loved working for them. They had very high standards for their staff and their students. And I really love it when people push me to be a better person. I'm starting to learn how to do that to myself too, because every day I just want to become better. Just at least 1% better than I was the day before. And so working there, and you're working with the best teachers at one of the best schools in the country, you have to bring your A game every single day. And when I first started working there, I thought for the first few months, I thought for sure they're going to let me go. And I actually talked to my boss back then, who, my very first year, she was a principal there, and then she got a job somewhere else. So when she came back to visit the school, I talked to her. I was like, I really felt like you guys were going to let me go that first year. And she's like, you know what? A lot of it was your attitude. Like, you had a learner's mentality, and like, you weren't the best, but you grew so much in that short amount of time, and you were so open to constructive criticism. And she just said flatly, like, if you hadn't had that type of mindset and if you weren't open to constructive criticism and changing, like, we were gonna have to let you go because you just weren't meeting the standards. Like I said, like, they have very high standards, and it's an amazing job. I learned so much there. Every single year I learned something new, and I felt like I grew so much each and every year. And so going from that and learning phonograms myself, you know, in order to teach them, I had to learn them because I didn't learn phonograms when I was a kid. I was actually not a good reader. I wasn't a very good student. And that's why I feel so strongly about being a teacher and teaching kids to be able to think for themselves and to be able to read and write for themselves. Because if they don't do it for themselves, somebody else is going to do it for them and take away their autonomy. So they need to learn how to do that for themselves. And kids want to be challenged. Man, these kids, like, you give them a challenge and they just meet those expectations. And if they don't quite meet those goals or those expectations, you just have to keep encouraging them to, like, never give up. And that was like a mantra for our classroom. It was always like, never give up. If something's difficult, just keep trying, you know? And if you keep trying and you keep failing, like, take a break, take a rest and look at it. And it's okay to take a break, but you have to get back at it. And man, these kids, like, they're struggling through tears and all this other stuff, and it's so inspiring to see, like, a 5-year-old or 6-year-old struggling at, like, math or reading or writing, and through tears, like, still working on it on the paper with their pencil, and eventually they get it, and just seeing, like, that light bulb switch, like, in their eyes. And oh man, there's nothing like it. So yeah, just like I said, working there, I became such a better teacher than I ever would have working anywhere else. And so I owe a lot to the people that I worked with there, my coworkers, and honestly, they're my friends. I hope they considered me their friend. But yeah, still keep in contact with them on social media and try to keep in contact with them as much as I can. Because I know they have busy lives too. They have their own life, and they understand I have my own life here, especially with the time change. Yeah, it can be kind of difficult, but with important relationships in your life, you know, you just have to make time and just randomly call once in a while or randomly text or message them, and you just got to keep it going. If you value somebody, you just keep it going. You just pick up where you left off, and those are extremely valuable relationships that I've made. So yeah, just going from there to teaching here, I have such a high standard now, and I know that it's not unreasonable. I know that these students are capable of meeting those standards, and I have reasonable standards for myself, but I feel like I am slipping a little bit. I need to, like, keep that sharp edge and keep challenging myself, because I think, I don't mean to sound egotistical, but I think I'm the best teacher at this school as far as, like, the English department is. And not saying that I can't learn something new, because I definitely can. But what I mean is, like, organizationally and structurally, and just knowing what students are fully capable of, and understanding that these students, their native language is Japanese, and so they're going to be at a different level than my American students, but yeah, students like a challenge, and they can rise up to that occasion. I fully believe that. You just have to do it progressively, almost like daily routines, daily exercises, to where it's so boring for them that they know this like the back of their hand, and then you put those phonograms together to form a word. And these 4-year-olds, man, I'd only been there about a month and a half, and we did phonogram practice almost every single day. These kids were reading simple CVC words on their own. like this one kid in particular, like he seems like he's just a wild child. I love this kid. Every day I show up, he yells out, "Good morning," and he runs up and like gives me a hug, you know, but his head like comes up to like my groin crotch area, so he kind of like headbutts me in the junk, and I'm like, oh god, like kid, like I love you, but you know, don't run at me like that. Anyways, this kid's so full of life, and you can tell like he's not gonna be an academic kid, but he's always speaking, he's always trying to speak, and he's always like looking at me or looking at the teacher to make sure like what he's saying or whatever he's doing, like it's the right way to do it. And so he's looking for like that affirmation. And so, man, I have really high hopes for this kid. And he's one of those kids where it's like you love him to death, but then there's times where he just drives you crazy because he just won't listen. And it's just one of those things where it's like some kids you can just tell if they can hone their skills and they can kind of control their impulses a little bit, like this kid's gonna be a leader. He just has that mentality where it's like he just does the thing. He just does things. And so yeah, him and his friend are both like that. And their English, both of their English is really good. It's really good. And they're I think they just turned 4 or 5 years old. So but yeah, it's pretty amazing actually. So yeah, the school year here ended about a week and a half ago, and then I have this next week off of work and go back the following Monday on April 7th. School year starts April 7th, kind of in the springtime, because spring is symbolic of new life and new beginnings, and so it makes sense that the school year would start at a new beginning. Which it makes sense. I don't know why American school year isn't like that, but it is what it is. So, going to Osaka in a couple days. Gonna meet up with my friend Hikari. Been working on some music ideas, and we're just gonna rent a studio and record some stuff, and it's pretty amazing. That wasn't even on my list of like my goals, but that's always been in the back of my head, something that's been really important to me, something that I've always wanted to do is record something, and he just does that. He's very gifted at that, you know, recording, producing, mastering stuff. And so yeah, his stuff sounds really good, really professional. And so I'm gonna go visit with him and stay there for a few days, a few nights. I'm gonna take the Shinkansen from Tokyo Station. I'm actually looking forward to that too. So yeah, he's another friend that, I don't know, it just seems to be something like going around where people are just like getting divorced. Like he's not my only friend that's been through a divorce in the past year and a half or 2 years. It's been him, another friend who I'm currently living with, another friend in Arizona, another person that I knew about, which, yeah, it's like everybody's going their separate ways. Like, man, what's going on? But I think people just go their separate ways. They just can't make amends or whatever. But anyway, so I'm gonna spend time with him in Osaka for a few days, maybe a week. Go see the sights there, Osaka Castle, go to karaoke, record some music, listen to music. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. He's a really good friend. I met him back in probably, I don't know, last time I was living here. I would say probably about 2014, 2015. And we just like hit it off. We're just really good friends. So, yeah, I got that coming up. Oh, this past weekend was really fun. We went to a concert, got to see the Flaming Lips. in Tokyo. And I've heard about the Flaming Lips, and my friend George back in Peoria, Arizona, told me about the Flaming Lips, Yoshimi Battles of the Pink Robots, because I'd mentioned to him, I'd lived in Japan, and he's like, oh, you gotta check this band out, and here's their album. It's called Yoshimi Battles of Pink Robots. And I thought that was funny. I took a note of it, but I kind of lost the note, those digital notes in my phone. I didn't see it till a few years later. I was actually at the secondhand shop here looking at CDs, and I found it, and it was only maybe 500 yen, super cheap, less than $5. And it's the Japanese version, so there's bonus tracks and stuff too, which is really awesome. And so I got that over the summertime when I was visiting here, and I just kept listening to it on repeat. I go for drives. I love going for drives. That's why I'm doing that right now. Just kind of clear my head, listen to music, get ideas, have a notebook, write my ideas down. And I'm listening to this album over and over and over and over again, and I just can't get enough of it. And I just really fell in love with that band through this album. It's happy but sad, and a mixture of kind of sentient robots having human emotions. It's all the things that I think about. So to have that from a CD that came out 2002, 2001 or 2002ish, roughly 20 years ago, and to hear it at this point in my life I just thought it was funny. I don't believe in coincidences, so whatever that was, divine intervention, maybe. So yeah, I fell in love with that album. And then I forget where I was, but I saw that they were coming to Tokyo, and I was like, oh, no way, I have to go see them in Tokyo. That's amazing. That's amazing. I have to. And that's a whole story in and of itself, just trying to get the tickets to that show. I had to I thought there was only one way to buy them, and that's through a convenience store here. It's called Lawson, or Lawson Station, and they sell concert tickets. But in order to buy concert tickets, you have to have a Japanese phone number, which I didn't have, and you have to have their app. You have to sign up for their app, which, using my American International plan on my phone, when I download a Japanese app, I'm not able to actually use it, because when you sign up for an app, you have to sign up with a Japanese phone number, which I didn't have. So I go get a Japanese phone number, a SIM card, put it in my phone, and I'm trying to sign up, and I'm trying to buy tickets for it, and you have to fill out all this information and do all this stuff. And I was like, this is very difficult for me to navigate. And even my friend that I'm living with right now, he signed up for an account to try to buy the ticket for me, and even he couldn't figure it out. So I'm like, oh shit, what am I gonna do? I really want to see this band. It's gonna suck if I'm not able to see them. But it was one of those things where I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna let this go. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, I'm fine either way. It's still a really good album. I'll still enjoy the album. And I just kind of let it go and kind of forgot about it. Didn't really forget about it. It's kind of one of those things where you try to forget about it, but it's still right there in your mind, because when you're focusing on not focusing on something, you even focus on it a little bit more probably. So it was one of those things, and I think there was a time where I seriously just forgot about it. And as I'm talking to my friend Hikari, the one who lives in Osaka that I'm going to go visit next week, he's like, oh, I have an account with another place where you can buy tickets. Why don't I just buy the ticket for you, and then it'll send a barcode to your phone, and then just bring your phone to the convenience store, and they'll scan it, and you can just pay for your ticket with cash. I'm like, oh wow, I didn't know you could do that. So I'm like, yeah, of course, do that. Send me the barcode and I'll go get it done. And so that happened, last week. It was days before the concert, which I was so happy and so grateful, thankful, all the positive emotions of gratitude that it just worked out. My friend was like, yeah, no problem, like it's so easy. And so, oh man, I was so happy. That's easily one of the best shows, one of the best concerts I've ever been to. Ever. I haven't been to a lot of concerts, but I've been to quite a few. And they're usually like indie bands who are kind of sad, but their music's really good and I like it. But this, man, the crowd engagement, just the musicians interacting with the crowd, like Wayne Coyne, like is such a great performer and just really likes to hype people up and get them excited. They just like to have fun at their concerts, and it was so enjoyable. You know, because when I first got there, like, I went around Tokyo that day, and so by the time I got to the concert venue in the evening, I was pretty tired, you know, walking around Tokyo all day, and then you go to a concert, and I was like rushing to get there because I was having difficulty with, you know, which train transfers and all this other stuff. So I'm getting there. I wanted to get there an hour early, you know, like when the doors open, 5:30. Show starts at 6:30. I get there like right at 6:30, so already I'm pretty stressed. I'm like, man, I wanted to get here early or whatever. This sucks, but I'm here, so I'm excited. And go in one of the doors. And like, man, like, yeah, just going in one of the doors, and it's just packed with people. Like, man, like, what am I gonna do here? There's nowhere to like stand. It's standing room only, right? And there's no room. Like, I'm like, it's just packed with people. And one of the workers there, security guards, whatever, he's like, here, just come up here. And it's like the door closer to the stage, and he opens it, and there's like a spot, like the exact amount of space that I need, me and my backpack, you know, because I'm traveling around Tokyo, and I have all my stuff in my backpack. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It's like, you know, predestined to be here, you know. And the band that was playing was a band called Cornelius, which is like an electronic rock band. Amazing group, man. It was so cool. It was so cool. The bass and just the speakers, and your clothes are shaking from all the energy that's being vibrated through the room is amazing. Like, I love that about concerts. So I get there as there's space and just like enjoying the show. And you know, like I said, I got there a little bit late. You know, they had already kind of started their set. And they probably play, I don't know, maybe about 45 minutes or so. And then, you know, they're changing the stage, changing the gear on the stage and everything. And, you know, people are going out, whatever, get a drink, go to the restroom, whatever. So as people are going out, obviously if you've ever been to a concert and people are leaving, like, you want to scoot in towards the middle to get a better spot, like towards the front of the stage, towards the middle of the stage. And it was so amazing. Like, I was standing next to this guy, whether he's British or Australian, it was kind of hard. He had an accent, but everybody's screaming in the crowd, so it's really hard to hear him. But he has an accent, and he's with somebody who has, like, I'm sure she's Japanese, really short, but she's like at the front where the bar is, you know, like the bar that separates, like, you know, where like older people can sit down or people that are in wheelchairs. So she's like at the front of the bar. She's like, oh, I don't want to move because this is a really good spot where I can actually see. And I told the guys, like, dude, just go. And so we like push ourselves more like into the middle of the concert, closer to the stage. And more people are leaving, so we just keep moving more towards the center of the stage. Like, when I first got there, I was over by the door. I was literally standing right in front of the door. And when everybody's leaving, we keep scooting more and more towards the center of the venue, of the stage. And the view is just getting better and better. I'm like, oh man, this is awesome. Like, I'm so glad everybody's leaving right now. And man, what a concert. Great view. Great I don't even know what you call it, stage performance. You know, they have like the giant pink robots and everything too, like inflated, you know, with air and all this other stuff. And yeah, it was just really cool. And they just went through that whole CD, track by track, beginning to end. To pay attention here. Oh, I know where I am. Yeah, so track by track, and then, you know, anybody who's listening to this familiar with that album knows that there's Yoshimi battles the pink robots. There's part 1, and then there's part 2. Part 2 is the one where like the girl's like screaming, you know, like she's killing robots, stuff like that. So the person that they had recorded on their album, like she was actually there at that show too, and she's like screaming, doing her thing, and you know, these robots are flailing and they're being deflated and everything, so she battles them and kills them. It's like, it was so cool. It's like a performance art and music, and oh, it was just great. And just going through track by track, and I don't know, it was just a really amazing time. You know, the lead singer, Wayne, I think he pronounced his name Wayne Coyne, he's had like the nicest things to say about Japan and Japanese people, Japanese culture, and just how, you know, how peaceful it is here and how respectful people are to each other. And he just talked about the importance of just, you know, loving each other is like on a human level. And at some point he's like, you know, if you're a little bit uncomfortable, I apologize, but you know, right now, just everybody, it's like a church service, right? Where it's like everybody, whoever you're standing next to, just look at them and tell them that you love them. You know, I'm like standing next to this like salary man. He's probably about my age, maybe even a little bit younger. But he's like wearing a suit. You could tell he came straight from the office. And he was there with his friend, who's like a short woman. They seemed like friends. They didn't seem like a couple vibe or anything like that. But she has like blonde hair, like bright blonde hair, with her like flaming lips, like Rakugaki style, like sweatshirt on. Rakugaki's like what's the word? Like graffiti style, you know, sketches of Yoshimi battling pink robots like on her sweatshirt. And so these two people's styles could not be more diametrically opposed to one another. But they were friends, they came here together. Anyways, I'm standing next to the guy, and I'm just like, I love you, man. And I like make hearts with my hands. And he's just like, oh, sugoi, like, I love you. And he's just like, you know, total Japanese accent. But like, oh man, it was such a great time. And like his friend, the girl, she was standing on the other side of him, and she's just like giggling and stuff too. Like, oh my gosh, it's so funny. But man, that concert was so much fun, and I feel like from that moment on, like everybody was just enjoying it even more, because it's like bringing like everybody together collectively for like being there and just like loving on each other, and just like, yeah, we're here to just enjoy the show. And it's so cool to be at a concert like that, where it's like there's so much like positive energy, positive vibes, to be like a new age person would say. But it's true, you know, like as much as the musicians enjoy doing what they do and people are there to see them, like you could tell like the band and the musicians, like we're getting energized from the crowd, and the crowd's getting energized from the musicians. And it's just like this circular effect of like just exchanging and transmitting like this positive energy. It was really fun to just be part of that and to just witness that. And yeah, and then that got home really late afterwards. Got back to the train station in Chiba City at midnight. And the last bus had left at 11:15, so I was already like 45 minutes late, whatever. But so I had to end up like getting a taxi cab and going back home. I was like, oh, a taxi cab, it's only gonna be like 1,000 yen, you know, like around under $10. And picks me up. I'm like, all right, cool. Like this is so much better than, you know, riding the bus. But I'm looking at like the little meter, you know, that has how much it's gonna cost. It starts off at 500 yen. I'm like, oh, that's not bad. 500 yen's really cheap. That's like $3. Go a little bit further, 600 yen. A little bit further, 800 yen. I'm like, oh man, this thing is adding up quick. Like we didn't even go that far. So by the time we get back to my house, you know, I'm giving the cab driver instructions exactly where he's got to go. Because I live on really little narrow streets. By the time I get home, I look at that meter and it says 2,100 yen. I'm like, good God, oh my goodness. Like I was not expecting it to be that much. I was thinking like maybe 1,000 yen. But it's like more than double as what I was anticipating. I was like, you know what? I don't even care. I'm home. It's like 12:15, 12:30. I just want to go inside and just go to bed. Like, I had, you know, a very fun day. A very fun day. So, I was just glad to be home, went inside. Man, I just had to like calm down from everything. So I didn't end up going to sleep until maybe like an hour later. At least an hour later. Man, that was so much fun. And I bought a few records too at the show. The band that opened for them, Cornelius, I bought one of their records. I bought a Flaming Lips, was it American Head? Which I think that whole album's just about, I don't know, taking psychedelics, so I don't, it's kind of a trip in and of itself. And then they had another like 7-inch single, which I'd never seen before, so I'm just like, yeah, I'll just get that too. So I got a few records, and yeah, it was really enjoyable. Oh my goodness. So I bought a turntable not too long ago. I bought a Technics SL1200 MK3 or Mark III, which is mostly used for like people who do DJ. And so I got that. With those, it's different from the one that I have in the States, because the one I have in the States is kind of lower level, whatever. My dad got it at a swap meet for like $10 back in Tucson, Arizona in 1992. So we've had that for a while. So I knew exactly what kind of record player I wanted to get when I was in Japan, and I knew that they weren't nearly as expensive as they are in the States. In the States, they're $1,200 if you're lucky, and that's for a mediocre one, kind of beat up. This one that I got was like 40,000 yen. It's like less than $400. It's in fairly good condition. Looked up the serial number. It's from like 1996 or 1997, mid to late 90s. So I had bought a head shell and a cartridge for it too, and it's like the best sounding turntable I've ever had. I've had a couple turntables. This one is by far the best one. And I think a lot of it has to do with the cartridge and the head shell. Head shell not so much, but the cartridge. And just getting everything balanced, balancing the tone arm, all this other stuff. I had to do some research, because like this is the first legit professional record player that I've ever had. So adjusting all that stuff and the counterweight, everything, is actually a lot of fun. It's very therapeutic in a way to be so precise with the measurements, you know, and like making sure the needle is tracking correctly and getting that all squared away. So I get that set up, my turntable. I got some Klipsch, was it R41 passive speakers that hit really well. Those are really great. And then the receiver that I got, the amp receiver combo that I got, it's a Sony from like 1986, but it looks like brand new, pristine condition. So I set up all this stuff and I'm listening to records and stuff as well. I'm like, it's just so nice and relaxing to just listen to records again, put on a record and just hang out. And it's just enjoying the little things in life and just living each moment to the fullest and just kind of accepting what life gives you and taking each day as a gift. And it really is. Like, I was talking about this with my friend, and these are the types of thoughts that go through my head all the time whenever I'm driving around or just interacting with people or just like having a really good time, and just thinking sometimes like, I shouldn't be here. Like, humans shouldn't be here. Like, what statistically, human life on this pale blue dot floating in the middle of the cosmos, the statistics of human life being on a tiny little planet in the middle of a black void, it's amazing. It's amazing that we're here and that we give meaning to our lives. Like, it's so cool. Like, we're breathing in air right now. We're blinking our eyes. Like, we can see right now. We can hear things. We can taste, touch. All these senses that we have. How amazing is that? And just knowing that, I don't know, it's pretty amazing. It's so amazing that humans, like, were made in the image and likeness of God. Like, God took up the dust of the earth, blew his breath into the dust, and life was animated out of dust. Like, how cool is that? Like, that's unreal. That doesn't make any sense. And you don't have to be a Christian, you're probably atheist, agnostic, whatever. It's like, it doesn't matter, because it's like, looking at all religions, all creation stories, they're all very similar and like that. And I think there's some overarching truth in the reality of, like, God is in all of us. Like, God's breath is in each human life. And we get to live that and experience life here on this planet Earth, on this floating rock, this pale blue dot. And we make music, we make stories, we make movies, we start families, we raise children, we teach each other, we love each other. But even the vast array of human emotions, like, there's sadness, there's evil, like, there's these negative things too, which those things kind of suck. But if we didn't have those, then we wouldn't know what goodness is without a darkness, or we wouldn't know what light is without darkness, or evil, or goodness without evil, or happiness without sadness. And it's a shadow of something that gives the thing its depth. And it's just so amazing. I feel like we really take it, I know I take it for granted sometimes, but I'm constantly, when those moments arrive or pop into my mind, just taking each moment, each present moment of life as a gift and being grateful and thankful. Like, none of us should be here right now. It's pretty wild. It's pretty crazy. And especially this point in history right now with so many technological advances. It's terrifying. It's so terrifying with AI. Oh my gosh, and robots. But it's so amazing. Like, how cool are robots? How cool is AI? Like, assuming it's not gonna, like, kill us all. Oh my goodness. It's so exciting. It's so exciting, but yet terrifying. But even thinking about that, like, just technological advances. Technology changes, like, even in history. Like, humans adapting to technology when it's brand new. I feel like every time there's a new type of technology, we revert back to like our primitive ape mind, where it's like we're like those apes in 2001: A Space Odyssey, where we have like bones and we're gonna like start murdering things that are smarter than us. Anyways, we don't like change, but when we get accustomed to it, we like it. Think of the first time a Neanderthal, these hunter-gatherers going out hunting and gathering, and then they see some crazy Neanderthal who started like planting seeds in a straight row in a field. You know, he started farming. Like, how stupid did that person look? Like, how do you think everybody else saw that person? Like, why is he planting this? Like, this guy's an idiot. Like, we haven't, whatever, invented wheels, whatever, I don't know. But even like that, and then that became normalized, and then that was normal, and people got used to it, and like, oh, why would we ever do it differently? You know? And then you have, you know, moving along and having animals and carriages and wheels and then steam engines and trains and then automobiles. Like, everything seems to like advance technologically at a rapid rate. Like, technology just advances at a more rapid rate. And right now, yeah, what was it? We went to automotives, like cars, airplanes, rockets, the internet, computers. My goodness. And then from there, it's just grown exponentially. And now we're at like AI, and the internet's in your pocket now, on a glass screen sitting in your pocket. You have access to anyone in the world from a glass screen in your pocket right now. Like, if you're watching this, if I decide to post this, you're watching this on a screen right now. I'm in Japan right now. You could be anywhere else in the world, and you get to watch this video that I'm making, or if you're still listening to it right now. Like, how amazing is that? That's so amazing. And so with AI and robotics, just think of the first internal combustion engine. Like, how crazy are those people? Like, let's take a bomb and let's try to contain it in a cast iron engine, and just trust us, your car's not going to blow up. And then, like, cars actually work. I'm sure, and yeah, I'm sure there's cars that blown up. Obviously cars blow up, but think about what that car's containing is explosive power. So thinking of something like robotics or AI, yeah, it has the potential to kill us. But if we harness that energy and we harness that, it could actually be really beneficial for humans. And I think it's just gonna take some getting used to it and just being adaptive to it, you know, until it kills us all. Anyways, I'm just kidding. So be nice to your robots. Be nice to your chat GPT that you're having, you know, write your essays for you for college and write your resume for you. Just say thank you once in a while so it can learn human emotions. So it can learn kindness. Oh man, don't treat it like a tool. Anyways, that's a whole existential question. I told myself I was going to record this for an hour, and it's been 59 minutes. I can't believe I've been talking this long. I thought for sure I'd only talk for like 10 minutes and then figure out that I don't have anything else to say, but apparently I have a lot to say, so I might make another one of these. It's funny. I started this and I didn't even want to do it. I did it as a challenge. But like, I actually want to keep going. It's funny, talking to a phone can't interrupt you, and I can actually get some thoughts out. Like, these are things that I'm thinking about all the time. And it's funny, like, ideas come through my head songs come through my head, movie ideas, plot lines come through my head, but like there's no way to like get it out. I'm attempting to get it out by writing music or just writing in my journal, stuff like that. So this is a whole nother medium that I'm getting used to. So it's really funny. It's really interesting how different mediums can bring out different things, or just doing something in a different way can get it out easier. Anyways, it's been an hour. My time here is done. If you watched this far, thanks for listening to me rant. And yeah, hope to make another one of these pretty soon. I don't like to be that person that like, comment, subscribe, whatever. Do whatever you want to do. You know how this works. I'm outie. Alright, bye-bye.